Now, one of my favourite phones of 2022 so far is no doubt the Asus Zenfone 9, a refreshingly compact blower that's a worthy upgrade over last year's model and so dinky that it'll fit into even the skinniest of skinny jeans without intimately probing your pancreas. Now, I've had my SIM stuffed inside of the Zenfone 9 several times over the past month or so, including this past week just gone by. And I really do love the nuts off it, although it ain't quite the perfect pocket-sized pal. So anyway, here's my full in-depth Asus Zenfone 9 review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, one of the biggest reasons I absolutely ruddy adore Asus's phone is that compact design. The Zenfone 9 is a sub-6-inch smartphone, which is practically unheard of in 2022. And despite some chunky bezel action, this blower is considerably dinkier than most rivals. It's got good grip and it's supremely comfortable to use while you're holding it this away, that away. Even though there's not much in the way of curves here, it's a very angular design. And the Zenfone 9 is a proper pretty bugger too. You got a matte finish with anti-fingerprint coating, so it stays looking good even with lots of fingering and fondling. Personally, I would have preferred the red model because I am a massive sucker for bright, shiny colours, but you know, this creamy colour is rather attractive too. I absolutely adore Asus's little touches that make the Zenfone 9 more interesting, and that camera housing is rather stylish too. At least, I reckon it looks stylish, but then I also think the bucket hats still look pretty snazzy too, so take it or leave it. But unfortunately, in just a month, that display has been dinked up quite a bit. It's collected quite a few scratches like most other Gorilla Glass Victus screens that I've tested, while there's also an ugly nick right there on that top corner. I've got absolutely bugger all idea how that actually happened. I may have been inebriated at the time, I cannot confirm or deny either way, but yeah, it's proper bloody annoying. And the Zenfone 9 also serves up full IP68 water and dust resistance as well, so you can take it into a nice hot bubbly bath with you, rock it by the side of the pool, whatever you want, no worries. Another reason I like all of Asus's phones is the streamlined software. What you have here is Android 12 with the Zen UI skin, which is so light that it's practically stock OS. And with the Zenfone 9, you are guaranteed 2 years of Android OS updates, so Android 13 and then 14 beyond that, and at least 2 years of security updates as well. So not quite as good as some rivals like Google, Nokia, etc., but pretty bloody good anyway. I gotta say though, the Zenfone 9 hasn't behaved perfectly this past month. For instance, occasionally apps will just lose network connection and have to be reset before they actually work again. Thankfully, this particular quirk seems to be happening a lot less now compared with a month ago when I first started testing the Zenfone 9, so fingers crossed that's just pretty much done with. However, on a recent trip to Berlin, I did have massive issues with data roam, and I kept getting messages popping up saying, "You've moved out of the roaming area," and I just could not get any connectivity whatsoever, which was a massive ball ache. I actually ended up having to stick my SIM in the Poco M5 instead, a considerably cheaper smartphone, which then worked perfectly. And I also had to revert back to Google's audio controls because the Asus one just kept unsilencing my smartphone, so every time I thought it was unsilenced, it would just blurt out and blare and f***ing screech and be an absolute twat. That fingerprint sensor works brilliantly, although I did disable the touch controls which allow you to slide your finger down that surface to drag down the notifications bar or control your media, refresh your web page, whatever you fancy. The absolute fumble that I am, I just kept accidentally nudging that fingerprint sensor when I was using the smartphone and therefore dragging down the notifications bar in the middle of typing out a message or something, so I was just like, you know what, no, it's not worth the aggro. It's not necessarily a Zenfone problem though, that's more likely just a me problem, unfortunately. But what I do like is the double arse tap in order to turn on that torch. And you can again assign that to other app shortcuts instead, but I like the torch thing. It's very handy when you're stumbling around at 3 AM trying to find the bogs. There's no crapware stacked on the Zenfone 9, just Google's own apps and whatever else you want to fill the 128 or 256 gigs of storage with. But unfortunately, Asus hasn't found any room at all inside of the dinky Zenfone 9 frame for a microSD memory card slot. Sad. That compact 5.9-inch display hasn't really changed at all compared with last year's Zenfone 8. It's once again Samsung AMOLED tech, and it's once again an absolute beauty. The Full HD Plus resolution means pin-sharp visuals, complete with super sharp contrast and HDR streaming support. And the Zenfone 9 also boasts Delta E color accuracy tuning if you're into all of your creative shenanigans like photo editing, and you got full 120Hz refresh rate support as well. The stereo speakers are pretty decent, certainly well up to the task of some YouTube shenanigans in a noisy household. And if you want to properly enjoy your tunes with some headphones, well, you're spoiled for choice here, because not only do you have dependable Bluetooth streaming support, you've also got a friggin' headphone jack as well. Very, very rare at this sort of premium price point. You got full Snapdragon Sound Smart, you got high-res audio support, bit of aptX adaptive and aptX lossless codec action, and even Asus's audio wizard to manually fine-tune that output. And to be honest, the wireless streaming is so good on this thing that I rarely ever bother to use the headphone jack. Whoops, I've just accidentally turned the friggin' torch on, go away. Oh. And no complaints at all with the performance either, as Qualcomm's crotch-thrustingly powerful Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 is wedged inside, right along with 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM. So everyday running is smoother than an oiled up slab of lard coated in KY jelly and chucked in a bag of butter. Gamers should be happier than a dog hungrily chowing down on its own arse, even though the Zenfone's teeny screen isn't quite as well suited to fast-paced action as bigger rivals. It is small, but it is responsive, and Asus's coolant tech, along with the improved efficiency of the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset, means you can merrily twat annoying magic goblin pricks with your mighty club all afternoon long, no worries. That frame rate will stay nice and strong. And you've also got yourself an extensive selection of Game Genie features similar to what you get on Asus's dedicated ROG gaming phones. And the good news keeps on friggin' rolling in when it comes to the battery life as well, because even though the Zenfone 9 just sports a dinky 4300 mAh capacity cell, it'll keep you going all ruddy day long, even with plenty of screen on time. It's a massive improvement over last year's Zenfone 8 and the likes of the Samsung Galaxy S22, which rarely made it to the end of the day without at least a 10-minute top-up involved at some point, and the Zenfone 9 does charge reasonably quickly when you do bung a cable in its bottom. Sadly, no wireless charging support here, though, unlike a lot of other premium rivals. And let's finish this smartphone review with a squint at the camera tech, and the Zenfone 9 sports the 50 megapixel Sony IMX766 sensor that you'll find in pretty much half the smartphones from 2022. But that tech is enhanced here with a tasty bit of 6-axis hybrid gimbal stabilization action. Whoa! And I found that while this blower can't quite match the Pixel phones, for instance, for point and shoot ease, I do usually still get great looking photos with minimal effort. The Zenfone 9 can cope with quite obnoxious lighting and still pack your snaps full of intricate detail. And the vibe here is most definitely natural. Colours aren't usually tinkered with, so what you see is basically what you get. And in decent light, moving subjects don't usually come out smeared, except for this one weird shot right here where I got some sort of double exposure randomness. And I'm a big fan of those portrait shots as well, framed with some lovely bokeh style action, which can even deal with crazy windswept hair. However, the Zenfone's weakness is more ambient conditions. Move indoors and you'll immediately see grain creeping into your photos as images are artificially sharpened. And likewise, any motion certainly will result in blurry shots that belong in the bin. At night, the Zenfone still deals with strong contrast in those city shots, although you don't often get as much detail as you will find on the Pixel phones, not to mention those lovely natural colours that Google's phones spaff out. And if you want to, you've also got a 12 meg ultra-wide angle sensor which you can swap to at any point, another Sony effort right there, and it does a decent enough job. Very handy indeed when you need to fit something absolutely frickin' massive into frame. But sadly you won't find a telephoto shooter here on the Zenfone 9 because basically fitting one of those buggers onto such a compact handset would be a complete twat. I think those might have been Asus's exact words, not 100% sure. So it is digital zoom all the way, which works fine if you're not going nuts and trying to shoot something small that's absolutely miles away, like this cute little seal here. Whoa! For home movies, you can shoot up to 4K resolution video, and the Zenfone 9 is perfectly capable here. Colours don't look particularly natural, but every frame looks sharp as long as the lighting isn't balls, and to be fair, this blower can cope with quite dim and harsh conditions too. That gimbal stabilization helps to keep things smooth, audio is clear enough, especially if you're providing a running commentary, and you can switch to that ultra-wide angle shooter if you need to pack even more action in. And finally up front, you've got a 12 megapixel selfie camera with autofocus. It's another Sony sensor, and it's fine if not brilliant. You can look a little bit saturated in stronger light, but it does an okay job in softer light when needed. And you can shoot up to 4K resolution video using that front-facing camera, so it's great for your vlogging needs, etc. Perfect for a bit of Skyping and stuff as well, no worries. And that right there, my lovelies, is my full final frank review of the Asus Zenfone 9 after using it on and off for the past month and a bit. And I've got to say, I absolutely ruddy adore it, if you didn't already kind of pick that up from the general gist of this review. It's just so lovely having a compact handset that makes very few sacrifices at all, bar the fact it doesn't have a telephoto camera or that wireless charging. Let's face it, if you want a more compact option which has features like a headphone jack in 2022, it's basically this or Sony's Xperia 5, which by the sounds of it has more than enough of its own issues to contend with. Anyway, that's what I reckon, but what do you guys think? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a really lovely rest of the week. I don't know why I started whispering, it went a bit weird. Let's just end the video.